Picture this for a second. Two people live in the same apartment complex, in units with the exact same square footage, the same monthly rent, and the same building fees. On paper, their lives should look almost identical. But the moment you step inside, you realize they are living in two completely different financial realities. In the first apartment, the resident makes very good money, somewhere around $4,000 a month, and everything in the place seems designed to announce success before the owner even says a word. A giant TV dominates the living room wall. The couch looks expensive enough to make guests sit a little straighter. The kitchen is crowded with high-end gadgets, a premium coffee machine, a slow juicer, an air fryer, specialty cookware, most of it barely touched, and some of it still sitting in the original packaging. The closet is packed with clothes, shoes, and name brands that were bought during late-night shopping sessions and worn once or twice at most. There is even a spare room that was supposed to be for guests, but now it has quietly become a storage unit for random purchases from past moods, past ambitions, and past versions of the same person. And yet every time this person opens their banking app, their chest tightens. If payroll is delayed, if work slows down, if they lose their job for even a couple of months, the whole system starts shaking. Now walk into the second apartment. The person living there earns much less, closer to $1,600 a month, but the space feels calm in a way that money alone cannot buy. The sofa is simple but comfortable. The television is normal-sized. The kitchen holds only what gets used regularly, and the closet is smaller, but every item inside has a purpose. The guest room is still a guest room, clean and ready. When this person checks their bank balance, there is no drama, no rush of panic, no feeling that one bad month could ruin everything. Why? Because they have built an emergency fund that could carry them for more than a year. And every month, they automatically move part of their income into investments before they have a chance to spend it. So, the person making less than half as much is actually living with 10 times more financial security. That is the part most people miss. This is not really a story about income. It is a story about the hidden relationship between stuff and money, and how that relationship quietly controls the quality of your life. The first person is not reckless. They are not gambling, partying away their paycheck, or making obviously destructive choices. What happened is much more ordinary and therefore much more dangerous. They got pulled into lifestyle inflation, that slow, invisible drift where every raise gets absorbed by nicer things, newer upgrades, and more polished versions of daily life. The second person discovered something that changes everything once you truly understand it. Owning less does not mean living worse. It means living more deliberately. And that deliberate way of living creates a financial cushion that many high earners never experience. No matter how impressive their salary sounds in conversation, this is where minimalist money rules begin. Not as a punishment, not as a philosophy of deprivation, but as a way of protecting your future from the quiet leaks that drain it. The first rule is simple, but it will change the way you buy almost anything. Every item costs you twice. The first cost is obvious. It is the price tag, the number you see before you tap buy now. But the second cost is the one people ignore, and it is often much larger than the first. That second cost includes storage maintenance, mental energy, and opportunity cost. Think about a treadmill someone buys during a burst of motivation. It takes up room in an apartment where every square foot matters. If you are paying city rent, that machine is not just a machine. It is rented space. Then there is maintenance, cleaning, and the visual clutter of having one more bulky object constantly sitting in your peripheral vision. And if it mostly turns into a place to hang laundry, then the real cost becomes even more painful. The money is gone, the space is gone, and the promise that came with the purchase is gone too. The same logic applies to bigger purchases. Someone buys a car because it feels like the next grown-up step. But they barely use it because traffic is terrible and daily commuting is easier another way. The car still keeps billing them every month. Parking insurance, registration, servicing, depreciation. It does not matter whether it is moving or parked. It is still consuming cash. Then there is the emotional cost that clutter adds to your life. Every object demands a little attention. You have to clean it, organize it, store it, protect it, and eventually figure out what to do with it when you no longer want it. People often act as if possessions make life feel more complete. But too many possessions create background stress. They fracture your attention. They make your home feel heavier, and when your home feels heavy, your mind often follows. Then comes the hardest cost of all, the one that never shows up on a receipt: opportunity cost. Every dollar tied up in things you barely use is a dollar that cannot grow for you. The expensive home gym, the oversized collection of bags, the impulse tech purchases, all of that money could have been sitting in an index fund, a retirement account, or a simple investment portfolio, compounding quietly in the background. When you buy something unnecessary, you are not just spending on the object itself. You are spending the future value of that money too. That is why financially disciplined people are not anti-shopping. They are anti-bad trade-offs. They look beyond the thrill of the purchase and ask a more serious question. What is this really going to cost me over time? And what am I giving up in exchange? Once you start seeing purchases that way, the world becomes a lot less tempting and a lot more honest. That brings us to one of the most practical filters you can use before buying anything. Ask yourself what the cost per use will actually be. Not the fantasy version. Not the version where your most disciplined, stylish, energetic self suddenly appears and starts using that item every day. The real version. The one based on your actual habits, your actual routine, and the life you are already living. A dress that costs $200 and gets worn twice is far more expensive than a blazer that costs $500 and gets worn 300 times. A kitchen gadget that seemed like a smart purchase becomes absurd when you realize it was used 3 times in a year. Meanwhile, a good mattress, a durable pair of work shoes, or a reliable coffee maker can end up being remarkably cheap when you spread the cost across hundreds or even thousands of uses. Once you start thinking this way, marketing loses a lot of its power. The emotional sparkle wears off and the math starts telling the truth. This rule does something else that matters even more. It does not just help you stop wasting money. It helps you recognize what is actually worth spending on. Financial minimalism is not about buying the cheapest version of everything and calling that wisdom. It is about spending generously on what truly improves your life and cutting mercilessly where value is mostly imagined. If something supports your health, your sleep, your work, or a daily routine that genuinely serves you, it may be worth paying more for quality. But if something only feels exciting in the moment and then fades into the background of your house, it is probably not a purchase. It is a distraction wearing the costume of self-improvement. A lot of financial problems begin when people treat all spending as morally equal. It is not. Some spending builds your life. Some spending quietly erodes it. The second rule is brutally effective because it forces honesty. If this item disappeared tomorrow, would you buy it again at full price? Walk through your home and ask that question about what you already own. That dusty juicer on top of the cabinet, the workout gear you swore would change your life, the shoes still sitting in boxes, the gadgets you bought because everyone online seemed to have one. If they vanished overnight, would you feel a real sense of loss and go replace them immediately? Or would you secretly feel relieved? For many people, that question cuts straight through the guilt and confusion. A surprising number of things stay in our homes, not because they are useful, but because they are evidence of old impulses. They are reminders of who we thought we were becoming. They are leftovers from a phase, a trend, a burst of optimism, or a moment of insecurity. And once you see that clearly, it becomes harder to pretend those things are harmless. Unused possessions do not just sit there quietly. They create negative value. They take up physical room, but they also occupy mental room. Every shelf packed with things you do not need sends a subtle signal that your life is cluttered, unfinished, and a little out of your control. Every weekend spent rearranging or cleaning around objects you do not even care about is time taken away from rest. Relationships, or better decisions. This is why letting go of things can feel weirdly emotional. You are not just getting rid of an object. You are admitting that the purchase did not become what you hoped it would become. But once you do it, the relief is immediate. The room feels lighter, your mind feels less crowded. Even ordinary routines feel easier because there is less friction in your environment. Financial clarity often begins as physical clarity. The third rule is where high earners get trapped more than anyone else. Do not replace something that still works just because you are bored of it or because a newer version came out. This habit destroys wealth in a way that barely feels destructive because it is socially rewarded. Upgrading your phone before the current one has any real problem. Replacing a perfectly good television because the new model has a slightly better screen. Trading in a working car because someone in your circle just bought something flashier. These choices are usually framed as improving your quality of life. But very often they are just expensive responses to comparison, restlessness, and identity anxiety. They feel normal because modern culture has normalized constant upgrading. But financially, this behavior can be devastating over time. Each upgrade may seem manageable on its own. Yet over 10 or 20 years, it turns into a steady stream of money that never gets the chance to become savings or investments. One of the most useful definitions you can create for yourself is the definition of broken. Bored is not broken. Outdated is not broken. No longer exciting is not broken. Seeing a shinier version online is definitely not broken. Broken means it no longer performs the function you genuinely need it to perform. That is a much stricter standard, and it protects you from being manipulated by the endless pressure to refresh your life every season. Companies depend on your dissatisfaction. They need you to feel slightly embarrassed by what you already own. They need your perfectly functional stuff to seem emotionally expired. But if you can hold your ground and keep using what already serves you, you create an enormous financial advantage almost by accident. You stop bleeding money into status updates disguised as practical decisions. And over time, that restraint becomes one of the quietest forms of strength a person can build. The truth is, a lot of people are not poor because they do not earn enough. They are financially fragile because their lifestyle keeps expanding to consume everything they make. Every new dollar arrives with a new excuse for why it must be spent. A better apartment, a better wardrobe, a better phone, a better version of everything. But the person who can resist unnecessary upgrades keeps more than money. They keep flexibility. They keep breathing room. They keep the ability to turn higher income into actual wealth instead of into a more expensive version of the same anxiety. That is the deeper promise behind these rules. They are not teaching you how to have less for the sake of less. They are teaching you how to stop feeding a machine that can never say enough. Now here is where things get interesting because discipline alone is not enough. Most people already know they should spend less, save more, and avoid impulsive purchases. The problem is not knowledge. The problem is environment. Human behavior follows the path of least resistance. If spending is easy and saving is difficult, you will spend. If saving becomes automatic and spending requires effort, You will naturally save more without relying on willpower. This is why financially stable people often look more disciplined than they actually are. In reality, they have simply designed their environment to make good decisions the default option. Think about how modern apps are built. One tap and your card is charged. Notifications constantly remind you of discounts, limited offers, and things you did not even know you wanted 5 minutes ago. It is engineered convenience, and it works because it removes friction. So the solution is not to fight harder against temptation. The solution is to reintroduce friction where it matters. Remove your saved payment methods. Log out of shopping apps. Turn off notifications. Make it slightly annoying to spend money. That small inconvenience becomes a powerful filter because it forces your brain to pause instead of reacting instantly. And that pause is often enough to stop a bad decision before it happens. At the same time, you want to do the opposite with saving and investing. Make it automatic and visible and consistent. Set up a system where a fixed percentage of your income is moved out of your main account the moment you get paid. Treat it like a bill that must be paid to your future self. Once the money is gone from your daily account, you adjust your lifestyle around what remains. This is one of the simplest but most effective financial systems ever created. It does not depend on motivation, mood, or how stressful your day was. It just runs. And over time, that consistency builds something much more valuable than occasional bursts of discipline. It builds momentum. There is also a psychological truth that many people underestimate. Willpower fades throughout the day. In the morning, you feel focused and in control. By the evening after work, stress, traffic, and mental fatigue, your decision-making gets weaker. That is when impulsive spending tends to happen. Late at night, scrolling through your phone, convincing yourself that you deserve a small reward. This is why relying on willpower alone is a losing strategy. You are asking your weakest version of yourself to make your most important financial decisions. Systems do not get tired. Systems do not make emotional excuses. When you build the right system, you remove the need to constantly fight yourself. The next rule may sound simple, but it has a surprisingly strong effect on behavior. Count what you own, not roughly, not in your head. Actually count it. Pick one category: clothes, shoes, kitchen items, tech accessories, and write down how many you think you have. Then go and count them for real. Most people underestimate by a large margin. You think you have 15 shirts, then you count and realize you have 40. You think you have a few extra cables, then you find a drawer full of them. That moment of realization is powerful because it replaces vague awareness with concrete numbers. And once something becomes measurable, it becomes harder to ignore. Counting creates a kind of friction in your future decisions. When you know you already own 40 shirts, buying another one feels different. It is no longer just a small purchase. It becomes number 41. It forces you to confront the accumulation instead of pretending each purchase exists in isolation. Some people take this further by setting limits, a maximum number of items in certain categories. If something new comes in, something old has to go out. This one out rule is simple, but it changes the way you think about buying. Every purchase becomes a trade-off instead of an addition. And that trade-off is often enough to stop unnecessary spending. Another powerful strategy is to test your interest before committing to it. Instead of buying something immediately, try renting it, borrowing it, or simulating the experience first. Many expensive purchases are tied to new hobbies or new identities. You want to be the person who works out regularly, the person who camps, the person who takes great photos. But the initial excitement fades quickly and the object remains. By testing the activity first, you separate real interest from temporary emotion. If you enjoy it consistently, then buying makes sense. If not, you saved yourself a lot of money and space. What most people do not realize is that buying something is often just the beginning of a chain. One purchase leads to several more. You buy a camera, then you need lenses, accessories, storage, maintenance. You buy a bike, then you need gear upgrades, repairs. You buy a car, then you add insurance, parking, fuel, servicing. The original price is rarely the final cost. Smart financial thinking looks at the full ecosystem, not just the entry point. And sometimes when you see the full picture, something that looked affordable suddenly becomes expensive. All of these rules point to a deeper idea. Money is not just about what you earn. It is about how much of your life you trade away for things that do not truly matter. Every unnecessary purchase is not just a loss of money. It is a loss of options. It is a small step away from flexibility, from freedom, from the ability to make choices without pressure. And once you start seeing money as a tool for creating options rather than collecting objects, your priorities begin to shift in a very natural way. At some point, all of this leads to a question that is uncomfortable but necessary. What is enough for you? Most people never answer that question. They just keep moving the line. They get a raise, they upgrade their lifestyle. They get another raise, they upgrade again. What used to feel like luxury slowly becomes normal. And what used to feel like enough starts to feel lacking. This cycle does not end on its own. It keeps going because there is no clear finish line. And without a finish line, you can run faster and faster while still feeling like you are behind. Defining enough is not about limiting your ambition. It is about giving your effort a direction. When you decide what kind of home is enough, what kind of car is enough, what kind of lifestyle actually makes you feel content, you create a boundary that protects your future. Without that boundary, your spending will expand to match your income every single time. But once the boundary is set, something powerful happens. Every additional dollar you earn no longer needs to be spent. It becomes a choice. It can be saved, invested, or used to create more freedom instead of more obligations. Imagine two people earning the same income. One constantly upgrades everything to match their new salary. The other keeps their lifestyle steady and channels the extra money into savings and investments. Over time, the difference between them becomes enormous. Not because one worked harder, but because one decided where enough was and refused to keep chasing more for the sake of appearance. This is why self-awareness matters more than income. You do not need to win the highest salary game. You need to stop playing the wrong game entirely. And this leads to one of the most important shifts you can make. Stop measuring wealth by what you own. Start measuring it by the choices you have. Real wealth is not about having a bigger apartment, a newer car, or more expensive clothes. It is about having the ability to say no, the ability to leave a job that drains you, the ability to take time off without fear, the ability to make decisions based on what matters to you, not what you are forced to do to keep up with your expenses. These choices are only available when there is a gap between what you earn and what you spend. A person earning a high income but spending almost all of it is not free. They are locked into their current situation because they cannot afford to change it. Their lifestyle depends on continuous income at the same level. If that income stops, everything becomes unstable. On the other hand, someone earning less but spending far below their income has options. They can step back, adjust, take risks, or simply rest when needed. That flexibility is a form of wealth that is invisible from the outside, but incredibly valuable in real life. To reach that point, you have to understand where freedom actually comes from. It does not come from owning more things. It comes from owning less obligation. Cash savings and investments give you mobility. They give you time. They give you distance from pressure. Physical possessions, especially expensive ones, often do the opposite. They tie you down. They create ongoing costs. They demand maintenance and attention. And in many cases, they quietly reduce your ability to change direction when life requires it. There is also a deeper emotional layer behind spending that people rarely talk about. Many purchases are not really about the item itself. They are about how the item makes you feel. Safer, more confident, more accepted, more successful. When your financial foundation is weak, these feelings become more urgent. Spending turns into a way of managing discomfort. You feel stressed, so you buy something to feel better. But after the purchase, the money is gone and the stress often returns, sometimes even stronger. This creates a loop where spending temporarily soothes a problem that it is also helping to create. Breaking that loop changes everything. When you build a strong financial base, the need to prove yourself through purchases starts to fade. You no longer need to signal success because you feel secure without it. You no longer need constant upgrades because your identity is not tied to what you own. And interestingly, once you reach that point, spending becomes more intentional, not because you force it, but because you naturally lose interest in things that do not add real value to your life. This is why minimalism and wealth often reinforce each other. At first, reducing unnecessary spending helps you build savings. Over time, having savings makes it easier to avoid unnecessary spending. It becomes a positive cycle. You save more, you feel more secure, you spend less to compensate emotionally, which allows you to save even more. That cycle is what creates long-term stability. It is not about extreme discipline or sudden transformation. It is about small, consistent decisions that gradually change your relationship with money. When you look back at the two apartments from the beginning, the difference is no longer surprising. One person is surrounded by objects but lacks security. The other owns fewer things but has built a system that protects their future. Both lifestyles are available to anyone regardless of income. The only real difference is how each person chooses to relate to money, possession, and the idea of enough. And once you see that clearly, the choice becomes less about sacrifice and more about direction.